or so, and then we'll start. So the topic of discussion is ESG, which is around combating the plastic pollution. There are a lot of technologies right now which have been developed to cater. There are so many pointers under the SDG goals, which is Sustainable Development Goals, but the paramount one is, and particularly in the year 2025, which is coming from India and particularly New Delhi, is the plastic pollution. The reason is, there are many reasons for that, but I'll touch base on that aspect in a while. What is important here is to understand the impact that, like, the water flow right now in the because of whatever reasons in Delhi itself is quite polluted in terms of it. There have been instances where the authority have looked into the water samples, and it is somehow not up to the mark. The TDS is quite high, and even the groundwater level has decreased over the years. Now, the point of contention here is to build or to just utilize the current architecture. At the same point of time, there's a term called as ESG, that stands for environmental, social, and governance. It's a framework architecture for evaluating enterprise sustainability and its ethical impact. So the framework has a trinity in terms of the dimension, and the dimension is environmental, social, and governance. When we talk about environmental, you have the carbon emissions, then the energy efficiency. There's something called as energy also. So the patent, which is working fantastically on the Impla network, because it's a very big project which involves so many countries, so many coders, and it's one of the biggest project this world has seen in terms of the way the project is being worked upon by different people across the globe. So the point here is energy harvesting. Whatever energy is being dissipated, how do you utilize that energy and utilize it to drive other kind of devices? It can be bodies, it can be apparatus, anything and everything can be utilized in that category. Then there's something called as waste management. When we talk about waste management, because water is an issue right now in India and particularly in Delhi, what is important here is how the water bottles which are utilized or being used, how it is dismantled in a real sense. Now in Delhi we have so many potholes. However, till now there are so many innovations which have been done maybe 20 years back, 30 years back, and these innovations are sitting in the colleges. Everything is there. The intent of the government has to be there so that the collaboration can be done. If I have to talk about one college which I know, I know the professors, is Birla Institute, that is based out in Greater Noida. If you go to that college and talk to the professors, they already have developed that, and it can be deployed very easily. We don't have to go through the tender process and make the process complex and give it to somebody in the family members, and then we say that they are not able to gather the momentum to do the stuff the way it has to be done. So the point of contention here is utilize the plastic which has been dismantled and with other ingredients which is easily available. You can just go to the online web and look into Perplexity, maybe with the Airtel stuff, because most of the subscribers are on Airtel right now. So utilize that Perplexity, see the solutions, and deploy it. Deploy is not the right word, because this word again is being misused right now. So the point here is, when we talk about the ESG, it is very, very important that don't wait for the government to do what they have to do. As individuals, as citizens of India, take responsibility and do your bit. That will make easy for any governance. See, when we give this power to another party, which is a stakeholder, each one of us are stakeholders in the node. Even this doesn't belong to India or China or United States of America or 140 plus country. Internet is a canvas. Internet is the biggest portal through which folks are able to communicate. Folks can see through different mediums. So these are backend technologies which are being deployed on the web, and we are able to communicate in real time, and so much technology is being developed around the same, and which already has developed. It's just that the cognizance of the same is not there. So if I talk about the last past decade, ESG has moved from nice to have strategic stuff to now the primary engine, or I would say the primary turbine, to accomplish green, low carbon transition and the rapid growth of the sustainable finance. See, one thing is there. Okay, hi Anwar. Okay, I'm doing good. I'm bhalo achi. So I'm Bangladesh এসেছিলাম. I know the ministers also. So probably, how's your district doing in terms of there's unrest in the country right now. আমি চিটাগং এসেছিলাম. I visited a lot of places in Bangladesh. So I'm very well connected to the ministers and everyone, and hopefully I'll be back in Bangladesh very soon. I happen to visit the parliament also. So yeah, I'm wishing you all the best for the country in terms of whatever they are going through. One day everything would be normalized. It's just that with so much unrest and political issues, things many a times become difficult. Okay, coming back to the ESG stuff. How ESG drives the green low carbon transition. Now, even if I have to take an example, I mean, Bangladesh can be a very good example. In many places in Bangladesh, okay, if I have to do comparison, just the Asian countries, if I just compare India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, I mean, Sri Lanka is way ahead in terms of, the SGD goals, the cleanliness and everything. It is of another, I mean, I never expected when I visited Sri Lanka for the very first time, the way Sri Lanka has just put everything in place, and their collaborations with the other countries, particularly China, because there is a lot of good investment from China, and already it's not that it is in the initial stages. The last time I visited was before lockdown, and they are doing quite well in terms of the development of the infra with the assistance of China and the other parties. Okay, coming back to the ESG, even in Bangladesh, there are few of the places which are, I would rather say, a control unit. I don't know what's the situation right now, but when I reviewed it my way, I was happy to see the Army cantonment area. I was happy to see the greenery around the area. I was happy to see what's around, and I know the pain points what Bangladesh is going through, but that's a discussion maybe for another forum altogether. When we talk about the ESG, it drives the green, low carbon transition. So if I talk about the empirical studies, so empirical studies are basically the studies which are conducted to understand the commitment of ESGs. See, nobody else has to give you points for saying that your ESG or your carbon footprint is low. Particularly, I'd like to talk about here is. So I have been mentored, and I'm being continuously being mentored by the Bangladesh previous finance minister. So I called her Appa, and from time to time she has told me pretty, keep your carbon footprint low. So when I say carbon footprint low is, I mean, after coming from Bangladesh, I haven't traveled. I even haven't left my city. I haven't traveled by air or anything, just keeping my carbon footprint low so that the entropy in the universe can come down, because there's so much of unrest which is there in the universe. That being said, when we talk about green innovation, is basically ESG acts as maybe the Trinity mechanism is resource optimization, institutional alignment, and behavioral coordination. It is to accelerate the breakthrough processes in the green revolution kind of a situation, which includes a technology. And the upcoming event which is happening in West Africa, just look into the stuff. Maybe I'll put the details and link it here also. It's happening on 15th of August 2025. So it's happening in West Africa. If you guys can come, it'll be great. Then the bottom line, let's just finish this understanding. The bottom line, so there's something called as bottom line, and there's something called as bottleneck, right? There's a difference between both these terms. ESG is not only a corporate virtual signaling. It is an operative system of the net zero resource efficient economy. See, right now what has happened is there's so much of chaos in the world, and so much travel happened, and then so many people became online influencers. The balance of convenience has shifted in a big manner. Um, because of that, now it is not only the responsibility of the companies or the enterprises, it's the individual responsibility. And as I said, Perplexity is there with Airtel. So people who are subscribers of Airtel can definitely just study about this by putting your own inquiries into the Perplexity account, and you will be able to appreciate it. And this is attracting, the whole ESG program is attracting a lot of trillion of capital in terms of the sustainable development goals, because as a patent attorney, as an Indian patent agent, as an international person who understands technology for such a long time, um, there are loads of innovation which are good innovations in terms of it is actually solving a problem. There are loads of innovation which are not actually problems. The problem is being created. So that problem creation has to be mitigated right now. I'll give you some examples before I just end this stuff. So we are done with the ESG. The last part of this puzzle which I wanted to talk about is, I'll talk about the time frame, um, 2002 to 2005. I studied from Delhi University College, and perhaps in the college itself, they were obviously they're professors and they're quite well educated. Delhi University has very good staff in that manner. But for whatever reasons, there were some professors whose children at that point of time. So just imagine, it's almost how many years? 2002, so it's more than 20, 24 years, whatever the timeline is. Some of the kids committed suicide. Some kids, their kids committed suicide. And on the face of it, as a person, I'm a very curious. I mean, when I used to look at that professor, I used to think, why, like, he looks like, a good person. Why did his son or daughter, whosoever um, he or she was, why did that person committed suicide? So there were different scenarios in those years where I saw this thing happening more often with the people who are in power in terms of the stakeholders. And when I entered intellectual property rights, these were the people who wanted me to prepare, paperwork for the IPR, because till now intellectual property rights in India is not known to many. And I'm talking way back. Say, for example, somewhere between 2007 2008. So those folks, those teachers, professors connected again, and they wanted, like, all these colleges in Delhi, they wanted us to prepare their stuff in terms of documentation and everything. And I didn't want to work with them, being very honest, because my way of working and understanding is very different. Because my purpose of what I have to do was very clear to me way back when I was in school. So I'm half army and half convent, so you can understand an army background of whatever years, plus the convent background. I knew what I wanted to do. But when I was working on these different pattern applications, so there were a lot of applications which were dealing with the understanding of what uh, people go through in terms of when they are not happy. And I was surprised because all these innovators were coming from different countries of the world, maybe Ukraine, XYZ, but I'm not naming anyone in particular. So in those days also, when we used to do the patentability search, I used to see the applicant and the other data sets, and purposefully I used to take the data set in terms of, just take the data set, right? Take the data set and see the person's profile, why this person is actually working on this. And then I realized it is not a problem per se, it is just something being created by a section of society because they want that to happen maybe 10 years from now or 15 years from now. So this is way back. Just imagine, I'm talking about 2010 and we are sitting in 2025. And post I would say 2016, I started seeing it more rampantly because those kind of scenarios started happening around me. And I was like, why this is happening? Then I realized there are a lot of stakeholders, important stakeholders, who they think they're important at that point of time. They wanted to push this agenda item more than the others. And now we have come to a point where most of the folks, because internet is so cheap, in terms of the availability and connection. Anybody can connect to anyone in the online world without even knowing what they're getting into. It becomes very important to have that self control to understand what is right, what is wrong. So, the point of contention here is just to understand here is don't think what anybody and everybody is telling you is right. Always take a step back, or maybe take 10 steps back, and think why this person is asking you this, because there has to be a reason. Nobody right now in this world will connect with you without a reason. We have come to that, page where everybody needs to have that, maybe just to understand something, but there has to be a reason. So reason out your life and take control of your life, and then only you'll be able to see the better side of the life. I hope I made any sense. But the point was the net neutrality and stuff, which I thought I was able to talk about and people can appreciate this. Thank you for watching out the video. It's been 16 plus minutes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And just put the questions in the comment box below. We will respond. And the West Africa event, I'm going to share the details. Please look into it. And hopefully we'll meet wherever we have to. Thank you. Bye-bye.